Now, it's been something of a historic week here in Surrey. Both the new East and West Surrey shadow authorities have held their first ever meetings. Now, these are the councils that will take over on the 1st of April next year, when the county and borough and district councils are all abolished. It's going to be quite a weird period of time, I think. It's a big change to the way that services are run. Liberal Democrat Paul Follows is the new leader of the new West Surrey Authority. Joins us now. Paul, first off, good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I think.
You had your first meeting yesterday. Can you describe what it was like?
It was a very strange feeling. I started the week at the last annual meeting of Surrey County Council, a council founded under Queen Victoria, and ended the week at the very first meeting of West Surrey, and looking back at 90 councillors in a relatively small space was quite something.
Look, what are the main things that need to be achieved between now and April? And have you got any idea how the process is going to work?
Some idea. I'm a very sad individual that's been thinking about this for some time. So, first of all, we will be resuming the discussions with the government about debt, particularly Woking's, but also Spelthorne, Runnymede, some of Surrey County Council's debt. That is absolutely the first priority that I've got to deal with. The government absolutely need to understand that what they have done is create a huge council that, without resolution on the finances, will be bankrupt within 2 years. They know this, they understand this, but I now need them to get out their checkbook or deal with this in a different way.
Right, it's an interesting time because some of the faces are familiar and the councillors that we'll have heard of before. A lot of them are very new, and that means that some people won't have much experience of that whole process. But is the whole thing's changing, I guess, in a way?
It is, and it's something like a third of the new councillors have never been councillors before. There are obviously a few people there who've been borough councillors or county councillors, and a few people like me who've done a bit of everything and have led borough councils and things like that. So it is a huge depth of experience, but also this is a unique issue. This is completely new. Nobody in that room has created a new council from scratch. Nobody in that room has dealt with the issues that we're dealing with. So we are going to have to figure it out between ourselves and our new officers. But honestly, it's an exciting challenge from that perspective.
In a way, is Surrey sort of like the first sort of test bed of this for what will happen in other parts of the country, do you think?
It is, and I think that's also one of the reasons why the government really will want to show that it works. I think they'll absolutely need to show that this isn't going to be a disaster for the other 12 areas that are going to go through the same process. West Surrey is now one of the biggest councils in Europe. It's the third biggest in the country. There is no way the government are going to be able to let this fail, is my strong hope.
Yeah, and the debt thing is, I guess, the biggest worry on that.
Absolutely, we can't do anything going forward. We can't get the benefits of this new council for residents if there is no money. So we must deal with that as a first issue. So
I keep coming up with different things of, I wonder what that's going to do, how that's going to work. Like, for example, I came off the A3 last night and drove, and there's a big sign, welcome to Elbridge. It's all that stuff, that'll all go, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing. Every time I sit and think about one thing, another massive thing comes into my head about this is a huge issue too. I woke up on Saturday morning after I've got elected my group leader and wondered what on earth I've let myself into. Every single person who's on my new executive has had a moment like that where they've woken up and figured out how huge the job is. But really, for a year, nothing's going to change with the localities. What you will find from me in the next couple of weeks is I'll be announcing our council's localism agenda that will ensure that this vast council, which I think everybody assumes must be really centralised, actually we're going to bring out, I think, one of the most radical localism agendas that the UK has seen, to make sure residents have an engaged council, place to access their councils, and to actually see local decision making still happening.
And it's interesting, you have your counterpart in East Surrey is Steve Wootton. You're both Lib Dems. And do you think that's going to be a problem dealing with the Labour government?
No, I don't think so. I mean, at the end of the day, their wider local government agenda of the government, as you've said, there's at least 10 other councils that have got to go through this process. They need to show this is going to work. East Surrey also needs quite a bit of financial support. I mean, if we're talking about West, East would be quite a big financial issue. It's just unfortunately not as big as ours. So they also need support. They also need help. We're also going to need to work very closely with East Surrey, particularly on the assets of the county that will eventually have to be split between us.
Yeah, and also we've got to talk about the staff as well, because I'm thinking, like, you know, not simple things, but just how on earth do you divide up the people who work in the SEND departments? Who, for Surrey County Council, will half of them go to West Surrey, will half go to East? You know, it's a confusing time.
It's even more complicated than that as far as I see it, because you've got things like the county run all of this now, but what is the demand in the same place as all the supply? What if there's more SEND demand in West than there is in East, and all the assets are in the East? There are lots of issues like this everywhere. What happens to the roads and the bridges between East and West? Who maintains them? It's all these little questions that every now and then pop up. But I do want to just say, if there are staff of the boroughs and districts in the county listening to this, as I'm sure there will be, that we are going to undertake this process sensitively, and we're going to make sure that you are engaged and you are informed about what's going on. And I want to make sure the new council leadership is accessible to you, so this is not done to you, it is done with you.
Look, the number one thing the electorate talks about, potholes. So in a weird way, you know, if you got that sorted, everyone would think, oh, it's much better, wouldn't it? So it's, you know, it's this whole balance of what do you go for?
Well, at the end of the day, you can't fix potholes if the council's broke. So the debt matter does take over all things, and that's why it's first on my list. But we will be undertaking a review of the highways contract. We will be trying to do this differently going forward. I really don't love the idea of somebody coming and filling 4 potholes in a road and leaving the 5th one just because it's not on the job note. I don't like the disincentivization that exists for that sort of work, and we need to change the basics of how some of this run.
Paul, I'm always in admiration of anyone who stands up and becomes an elected official, but why on earth do you want to be the leader of this? It seems like such a big job.
So firstly, it's a huge job, but at the end of the day, I think I've got the experience, certainly with Waverley and with Surrey, to undertake some of this. I'm a massive nerd when it comes to governance and legal things, and actually setting up a new council is something I genuinely consider exciting. And the other thing, and it's the reason I stood to be a councillor in the first place, much more than central government, local government is the thing that actually people engage with on a day-to-day basis, whether you do it consciously or not, whether it's the roads, whether it's your bins being collected, all the social services that local government provides, they are the things that people actually need. And I want to make sure vulnerable residents, families, children, parents get the services they deserve. Well,
look, appreciate you coming in. I think we're going to be talking to you and Steve Wootton and many others over the coming months, and you're going to say, well, we're still working on that. You probably will be for...
It's a task that will never be finished, let's be fair.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks for coming in. Paul Follows is the Liberal Democrat leader of the new West Surrey Authority. Got a job and a half over the next 12 months.